Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jamison Maxwell, and we are here to preview a massive game in Norman. It's the college football playoff first round between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Jamison, I gotta say that we have seen some massive days in Norman, massive evenings. These games we talk about forever. Texas Tech in 08, Nebraska in 2000. This Alabama game is sure to be one that we're going to be talking about forever if it ends up on the right side of the Sooners.
Here we go, another playoff game. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that are thinking, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. It's at home. I don't have to go to the Rose Bowl or Orange Bowl to get my heart broken. But at the same time, this is a great opportunity to put Oklahoma's name on the map again and provide some respect. We're already seeing it on the recruiting trail. You're seeing a lot of these recruits in the following cycle start to hop in, and it's a really attractive place, especially to go as a defender. But this game means a lot, obviously, for right now, but for the future, for the OU program, the stakes are huge.
Well, absolutely. And I think there are several aspects to it. Well, first of all, being the only game on Friday night, it is the thing to watch if you're a football fan. You don't have to deal with the NFL. You don't have to deal with other games. It is just that game. All eyes are on Norman. All eyes are on the culture, the environment, and I know OU fans are going to make that just rocking. But also, it's really an opportunity to. This entire season, Oklahoma's been claiming and showing that they are not going to fade away and become the next Nebraska and all of that. And what better way to, make a statement than win a home game in the college football playoff and just show the world that Oklahoma is here to stay.
Versus Alabama. And we can say Alabama's momentum is poor right now. The way the end of the season doesn't look that good. It might not be as big of a win as the Alabamas of the past. Does not matter. Alabama's name carries so much weight. And if we can win this one, people will pay attention.
Without a doubt. And, you can talk about history and, I don't want to talk too much about it, but no one's ever beaten Alabama 3 times in the span of 13 months. That just has never happened. They haven't. It's a relatively new phenomenon where you can play a team that often, but it's just never happened before. It's rare that you beat them twice in the span of, back to back. That just doesn't happen. And it does carry a lot. And, when the last time we were podcasting was right after the reaction, it was right as we, learned the matchups. It was our fresh reactions. And I was a little disappointed about it, but, it feels like a gettable game. I feel a lot better about it in terms of how Oklahoma can win this game, in terms of where Alabama is as just their momentum, the questions around DeBoer in Michigan versus Oklahoma, getting guys back. There's a lot to be positive about, but it's still freaking Alabama, and you should take them as seriously as possible, obviously.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people's reactions of being maybe not disappointed, but stunned, maybe a little bit of mixture of stunned and disappointed.
I was a little disappointed.
Because the factor of, it's Alabama, and that's scary, and Alabama can turn it on at any time, and the talent they have in that room is astronomical compared to a team like Notre Dame, Miami. And then secondly, you don't want to play the same team over. We've already, defeated Alabama. We've done that. Now having to go and beat them again, that's scary. We already have our medal up on the wall of beating Alabama, and now we got to keep it. It's hard staying on top of the hill, after beating them, and we'd like to keep that. But at the same time, if you break it down, and we've talked about this, is in terms of matchups and ability to succeed, I feel the best going against Alabama versus Miami versus Notre Dame. I think that this team going against them is our best chance to win.
Yeah, I honestly agree. And, I think in the moment I was like, oh, well, think about the history. And we even talked about it earlier in the reaction. I know. I talked about the history with Notre Dame and, the history with Miami. Think about the novelty and, that's kind of the thing that allows you to kind of daydream, when it comes to the playoff and thinking about getting these opportunities to have these teams you never see come to Norman and these high stakes matchups. That's something that's always intrigued me about it. So to get a team that we've already beaten twice, it was dang it, why do I have to do that again? But ultimately, you're right. If it's the best matchup and gives you the best chance to advance in the college football freaking playoff, you absolutely take it 10 times out of 10. And I think when you think about it, and as Blake has said ad nauseum to me, as well as you, it isn't always easy to beat the same team. The adage, it isn't always easy to beat the same team twice, doesn't exactly count all the time. Because, Alabama, yeah, they have tape from that game they lost. Venables has a lot of tape about the things they did wrong and a lot of things they can clean up too. These are going to be two teams that really know each other well, they know their tendencies, and it's going to be really interesting to watch from that standpoint.
Yeah, and I think the tape thing is, I believe so much in Brent Venables and his ability to make a good scheme for a game that he has had time for, to where that even makes me more optimistic. You talk about the beginning of the season and how high stakes. Brent Venables said these in these press conferences, like every single game was like the biggest of his career. But those games where it's like at the beginning, like especially like Michigan, where it's like he needs that, he comes out and he's shown out with his defensive game planning. You give him a little bit of extra time, a tape versus this team already, and then an extra game in the SEC championship where they floundered on offense. I think there's a lot of fuel in Brent Venables' tank to go out there and really put out a good game plan.
Well, I mean, think about those Clemson teams that he would take to the playoff and how good they would look, especially, right out of the jump in those first semifinals. And you could tell it's just a different situation when he has time to grind tape, when he has time to figure it out. And I know a lot of the conversation about that first OU Alabama game was, look at how much Alabama torched OU and they should have won this game. And you have a lot of tape of Alabama doing the right things against Oklahoma. You got all of that tape of you failing, but what you didn't get was a loss. And that's, I think, kind of the best of both worlds situation, where Venables has a lot of things he can look at that went wrong and can figure out a lot of ways to patch things up.
And I think that this Alabama offense is a completely different offense, too, whenever we played them. Some people say, like, oh, they've had some time to get healthy and they might look better. But really, like, the head of the monster is Ty Simpson. And this herniated disc situation that he had beforehand that got hurt in the Missouri game and then got aggravated in the Auburn thing, like, that is a big deal. I'm not trying to say that herniated discs, like yeah, you can play through them, aren't a big deal, but I think they are, and there are things that can shut down people for seasons, depending on where they are. I don't know what part of his back this is, but I guarantee you, in the back of Ty Simpson's mind, is he's like, oh God, like, I don't want to turn a certain way. I don't want to get tackled a certain way because this is going to hurt, because herniated discs suck. They hurt. And whenever you have a defense that is confusing you and is sending pressure from linebackers and dropping defensive linemen into coverage, that's already an uncomfortable guy in an uncomfortable situation.
Well, and obviously he saw plenty of Oklahoma's defensive linebackers in that first game, but one guy he didn't see was R. Mason Thomas, who, judging by the latest availability report, we're recording this December 16th, the Tuesday, at night. R. Mason Thomas is back. We saw his looks in practice on Monday, looked really good, but he is completely off the injury report. He is very much slated to play on Saturday, and I know Taylor Wine's done a great job. PJ Adebawale's done a great job. Adding your best player back into the mix is something that Ty Simpson, I imagine, really does not want to see on Saturday.
And I don't even count R. Mason really being with us in that Alabama game, because he went out of it so early.
He didn't play. No, he didn't play. That's what.
Oh wait, I'm mixing it up between the Tennessee game. I'm mixing it because he got hurt in the Tennessee game. Yeah, he didn't even play in the Alabama game.
No, he was street clothes all the way in that.
Yeah, so like that is a huge deal. That is an all SEC guy that you're missing. At the same time, like another part of this is like you talk about like Alabama's had a lot of guys hurt that maybe they need to get time to get healthy. Jane Jackson too. Like, that's a guy that, like, kind of was hobbling through the end of the season, that maybe getting him a little bit extra time, not being on the injury report as well. I think that's a big deal that not a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah, that is a really good point. And I think some of it is because of how deep OU's been. When you're seeing David Stone make big plays and Dominic Williams and all these other players, kind of step to the forefront, you forget about who's missing because you're not really missing them that much because you're having other players step up. But Jaden Jackson is a massive player, and I think people forget just how damn good that guy is.
Yeah, and like he was at a point in the preseason, in the early part of the season, that we always said like he's the guy that's not going to show up in the box scores, but he's so disruptive. He completely changes everything in the interior to the point where is he one of our most valuable defensive players? We had that conversation a lot in the offseason and the beginning of the season. Obviously, it started to kind of taper off as his health wasn't the best at the beginning, at near the middle and end of the season. But if we can at least get him to a point where he is impacting the game, like you just talk about two big scary weapons in this game that really could make a big impact that maybe weren't doing that as much come regular season time in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. You're very right. And I will say, looking at the Alabama side of the injuries for a moment, a lot of people talking about Jam Miller. We saw him in Tuscaloosa. OU did a pretty good job of holding him and the rest of the Crimson Tide running backs pretty much at bay all day long.
Uh,
Alabama's rushing issues are not exactly a secret by any means. But the injured player that is coming back that I'm interested in is Josh Cuevas, the tight end, who absolutely torched OU. And I don't see it as a, oh well, this is going to help him as opposed to Alabama, because he played pretty much the best version of his game I feel like you could possibly see against OU. So I don't see any way he does better than that, especially with the tape, but definitely a guy to watch for on the Crimson Tide offense.
yeah, and I was reading the TFB's message boards and on talking about Cuevas. It seems like a lot of Alabama sources are saying that he's like a true questionable, where it's like it's a back and forth that like you see questionable in college football nowadays. A lot of times you're like they're probably gonna play, especially in a game like this. But like the verbiage is like he may give it a go, but he truly
Wow.
couldn't play. And even for whenever I hear that, it said he could give it a go. True game time decision. They didn't say that word, but like whenever you think of true game time decisions, like that's a guy that's hampered. So even if he does give it a go, he's not going to be fully 100%. And like you said, Bobby, he did so much for us, and that might have been game plan and scheme, because whenever you try to take away the wide receivers at Alabama, you really can't, but you can try to scheme it out as much, and maybe that gives like a lot of weight to the tight end and the flat and kind of those little smaller routes that he kind of broke for longer yards after catch. But I think that's a big deal. Even if he does play, you wouldn't expect a 100% Cuevas.
Yeah, which is obviously massive. Anytime you hear the term "give it a go," you're like, "Ugh," like that. That
Mhm.
sounds like you're going to get a couple reps. That doesn't sound like you're going to get the same guy back.
Yeah.
But I think in that same vein, how you saw that game work against OU. The Sooners did a lot to limit the long ball. Ryan Williams not much of a factor at all, nor were the rest of the Tide receivers to that same degree. I felt like they would get chunks. I'm not saying they weren't moving the ball down the field. They clearly were, but it was more about tightening up in the red zone. And I feel like if you want to see a little bit better defense in terms of getting them off the field in the middle third, that was kind of where this thing got really dicey.
Mhm.
But this is a team that is designed to keep you out of the end zone, and it's not always going to be pretty. But if they can force you to kick the ball, kick a field goal, they've done their job.
Yeah, and really what it came down to, in that game, it's the turnover battle. We had so many turnovers versus them, and really kind of turned the tide, no pun intended, about talking about the turnover differential. And the haters, especially that Alabama, saying like, "Oh, they can't replicate that." They use this kind of turnover number as some sort of lucky thing, but no. That's just our defense putting Ty Simpson in really uncomfortable situations, and eventually there's going to be a mistake happen. Yeah, he could chip away. He could get down into the red zone. He could make some plays, but sooner or later he's going to screw up. And that big screw up, like I said, for this offense, if they keep on building off defensive momentum, that's all we need. We need a short field. We need a momentum play. And I think this defense can continue to make this offense of Alabama uncomfortable and hopefully make more mistakes on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you look at those turnovers, and, I know the Oklahoma breakdown guys have talked about it ad nauseum, other pro Oklahoma people have talked about it. They weren't like lucky. It wasn't like some random BS that happened to them. Punching out the ball on Ryan Williams, the interception, the deception that they were able to, you know, sort of catch Ty Simpson in on the Eli Bowen pick six. And
Uh,
then, the Taylor Wine, strip. That was all force. That was all designed. That was all earned.
yep.
if there was any luck, it was, the John Mateer interception dropped by Justin Jefferson. That would have been, he probably would still be running right now and into the end zone. But in terms of the defense, what they did, all of that was earned.
Yeah.
And you're going into an environment that is going to be even obviously crazier because you're going to be at home in a playoff game. It should be a situation where the defense should completely thrive.
I agree. And I mean, when it comes down to this game, I hate to break it down like this, like the same way we've been saying for the past couple games, because it just seems like it's just monotonous at this point. But it's really like I didn't think the defense could win games, but I think the defense can continue to win games. I think we really have at the point where we know what we're going to get out of the offense. You're going to have a couple of tough drives, a couple of big plays, but for the most part, there's going to be some stagnant moments. But looking at this Alabama offense and what this defense can bring to the table, I think absolutely this is a game where the defense can go out there, play another game like they did in Tuscaloosa, and win a football game on their shoulders.
Yep. Wreak havoc on that Alabama offensive line, just completely just torture Ty Simpson for a full ball game. If that herniated disc thing is an issue as much as
it's going to be
saying
an
it
issue.
is. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a recipe where if you can get at Ty Simpson, dog him all game long, you have to feel pretty damn good. And, the cornerbacks are going to have to keep doing what they've done all season long. The safeties are going to have to do what they've done all season long in terms of preventing long plays. But if you can let her rip and really get to Simpson, I mean, you have to feel pretty good about that OU defense.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And also another thing with this defense is like they put us in a lot of positions to succeed. And you already talked about like our defense does a really damn good job of holding Alabama or like teams to like no touchdowns and like give them bad situations in red zone and then the opposite end of the 50. We kicked way too many field goals in that game too, right? It's 23 points. So that 3 field goals, right? So like that's something that I don't want to happen again. I love Tate Sandell. He's bailed us out a lot, but we need to finish drives, right?
Yeah.
And so
there are
like
a lot
that
of
could
stalled
be
out drives.
Yeah, because like we had it was the one right at the beginning of the fourth quarter where Tate Sandell had to kick one right in the red zone, and then the beginning of the game he had a 24 and a 25-yard field goal, like. That completely shifts if just one of those is a touchdown. So we left a lot on the field too. So like this game could be completely different, and we're still, very proud of what we did.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. You're right. And, sort of shifting things a little bit more to the OU offense side of things, which, I think I know what we're going to see out of the defense. I feel pretty confident and comfortable with what we're going to see out of the OU defense. The OU offense, what's the old phrase? Expect disappointment and you won't be disappointed. That's kind of where I'm at. But there's also a little bit of little hopium, Bobby, in the back of my head being like, oh, they've had time to scheme. There might be something they've worked on.
Jet sweeps.
Javonte Barnes might actually play in this one. You never know, Bobby.
That's been the cope. It's like, oh, what if we put in Javonte Barnes and everything changes? I'm like, no. Like, there's a reason, like, he's considering transferring right now, right? It's not like he was taken away from our arms and him coming back will be our savior. Yeah, could he go out there and make some plays right now? Sure, but I don't think he's, like, our messiah for this game.
The running back room is more about, how healthy Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock have gotten in the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Are they fresher? Do they look better? That is the real question. It's not this guy who basically quit on the team show up and save us. And even then, even when he was healthy, let's not act like Javonte Barnes was, Adrian Peterson in 2004. He was a guy that a lot of OU fans wanted off the damn field because he was doing kind of the unsexy work. He was a great blocker, but he would, be two yards in a cloud of dust, essentially. You just, 2 yards and then stumble over.
Yeah.
But if he can play, if he can give any sort of meaningful whatever, that's great. And I think that's the case with this offense in general, is whatever you can figure out, to get some positive, work in, if there's anything you've schemed up, this is the time to break it out. And it obviously can't come at the cost of making massive mistakes. Last time we saw John Mateer on Owen Field, it's a bit of a mess against LSU. You could tell he was trying to step out of his comfort zone a little bit more, sometimes to the detriment of the Sooners.
Yeah.
So if you're going to try stuff, it's got to be controlled.
Yeah, you want to try some funky stuff on offense in this game?
I mean, maybe one or two, but nothing. I don't think you want to do too much.
I think it will happen, though. There's going to be some wonky stuff from this offense because I think you have to kind of do that a little bit. Now I think the way to success in this game, you already said it, is on the backs of Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock. I think even more so Xavier Robinson. Xavier Robinson completely shifted what we thought of this offense in the middle of the season before he got hurt, ever since he had that game versus Ole Miss, where it's like, okay, run game's here. I see a path to success with this. I think that the offensive line is starting to have some cohesion in the run blocking game. Playing with a knee brace and was already playing through the injury, you would expect that he feels a lot better at this point if it's just truly just a milder sprain. Because if this was a significant grade 2 sprain of his knee, he wouldn't have been playing at all. He would not even have been out there on the field with a knee brace. So typically sprains can take like a week to 3 weeks to get back, and it's been that time. So you're hoping that if he hasn't had any setbacks or re-injuries, that he should be feeling pretty darn good coming into this game.
Yeah, I certainly would hope so. And, we'll see how it goes the rest of the way. And, Saturday will be, we'll tell all. But, I'm hoping for a healthier Xavier Robinson. OU needs a healthier Xavier Robinson. And just in general in the run game, too. I want to see more Mateer running. I want to see more John Mateer run game. A lot of our commenters have talked about Mateer's knee sprain, blah, 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 blah. And if he is beat up about anything...
I'm tired of hearing that, man.
Well, one...
Like, it's a knee sprain that he's had at the beginning of the season. It's been like 3 months. Like, it's either a knee sprain or a knee tear at this point. Like, come on now.
All I'm saying is there's no way anything should be bothering him now. So it was something that was relatively effective at times against Alabama. I don't want to be too blinded by his just excellent touchdown run, but I feel like it's something that can really benefit OU here if you can activate, John Mateer's running game, make him a little bit more dynamic.
And I think Ben Arbuckle wants it. Ben Arbuckle wants him to do it too, Bobby.
Yeah. Because it kind of is who he is right now in terms of decision making. Maybe he finds some stuff in the tape, maybe, but I mean, overall, that's the type of stuff that takes an off season to fix. It takes time grinding tape. It doesn't take a couple weeks off to solve all of your ills. It helps that he has tape against Alabama. It helps that he has tape against a specific team where he can know what he's done wrong, some things he was missing, and execute. But at the end of the day, I think there's a cap on how good he can be. And if you're expecting, Mateer versus Michigan or whatever idealized version you had of John Mateer, I don't think you're quite going to see it in this game. I'd love to be wrong, but it would take something special.
I think the run game, though, is a big point to make about Mateer. And I think we've seen whenever the moments are big, that the play calling is like, all right, Mateer, go out and get it. And he's succeeded in a lot of that. And I think the fan base and obviously us, we've sometimes been soured by it a little bit because it's like, hey, we're seeing a lot of great things from the running backs. Why are we abandoning that? Can we just not be one-dimensional and throw the ball and put everything in Mateer's hands? Like, let's be a little bit more balanced. But, I mean, if we play a balanced game and then utilize Mateer's running ability just a little bit more, like especially in those 3rd and shorts or maybe even like a 1st and 10 whenever they're not ready for it, just to get us a 4-yard, 5-yard short field, that's how we're going to succeed. This team is not a team that I feel comfortable at all in 3rd and long. So getting ahead of the sticks and running the ball well on 1st and 2nd down is going to be a huge, huge reason that we succeed.
Yeah, I mean, 3rd and long, I agree. It's the numbers haven't bared out well. One of the more memorable 3rd and long conversions was a John Mateer run against Tennessee. So it's one of those things where if you're looking for a long ball, as a defense, you know who to look for, and he's wearing number 5, and he's not going to slip by that time. And I think overall, that's going to be a massive part too. I obviously think the running game's the bread and butter, but the ability to get Isaiah Satania in good position, which is going to be a factor. Alabama is going to lock in on this. It is going to be hard as hell for Isaiah Satania to break free here. But you have to find ways to have him break free and be a playmaker. He is without a doubt the best playmaker on offense. Get the ball in his hands whenever you can, and hope you can have a little bit more Satania magic here.
Yeah, because they did a really damn good job of it whenever they played us. He really didn't have that Satania magic play, and the guy that we were like, holy crap, like this is our dude this game. Jermichael Carter was making the big plays. So it comes down to the point where it's like, yeah, you got, like, he's our best playmaker on offense right now. Like, you got to get your best playmaker the ball in his hands and allow him to get in positions to let us succeed, because this offense becomes anemic at times. And so whenever it's like that, sometimes you just got to say, hey, this guy's really damn good at getting open. How can I get the ball in his hands? And that's, you got to lean on your best players. And that's what I really hope that this scheme's out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the recipe. That is the recipe for, if you want a long bomb, if you want a explosive, it is almost always Isaiah Satania who delivers on that front. And, a lot of that scheme, we'll see how it all bears out on Friday. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they can do to get Satania the ball. Any other thoughts on the offensive side? Any players to watch for? Any key factors?
I'm curious. I mean, the more and more I read, the more I see, and obviously with the reports coming out from Michael as a questionable, we've kind of touched on this in the past, Bobby, but to rehash it, I think the more I read about it and the more I see, I think there's a lot of optimism that he would play. And we say, hey, Woo did a pretty decent job moving over, but obviously that kind of shifts all of the chemistry and the behind the scenes of it. You want to have your continuity as an offensive line play. And I think if it truly was some upper body skin thing that he required to go into the hospital and get discharged, is fine. If it was like some cellulitis that needed IV antibiotics, he should be good to go in this game. And I think that Michael has been a great help for us at center, a guy that maybe not as an expecting presence in the preseason, but has been a big picture to why we've succeeded in our offensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you on Michael, and I think even though Fabechi did a awesome job, at center and those reps, obviously, look, if Gabe Eichert is praising you did something right, that's great, but we need him at right guard, and we need to put our best line forward, really. And I know the importance of the center position. I totally understand that, but you have to play cohesion. You have to play what you can. And if you could get Michael at center, that's awesome. But specifically at that center role, if it is Fabechi and Weewu, you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think putting him back at the guard and putting him, having Weewu next to Foje as a freshman is a big deal. Like having like the guy that is like Weewu's been around town. He knows this, and he's like our most seasoned guy. So putting him right next to Fudge, I think is going to be a big deal for us as well, as we start to see like that's the guy that I'm a little bit more concerned about being prone to errors. Obviously, both freshman tackles have had some errors and some penalties, but I think if we can get some comfort level and some, not mentorship, but, like having them right next to each other is, I think, always going to be a positive thing.
Penalty aspect is something that is huge here. The limiting penalties, limiting mistakes is going to be massive. It is going to be an interesting crew. You're rolling with a Big Ten crew in this one.
Yeah.
And the Big Ten is notorious. They call significantly less fouls or penalties than the SEC. Which is great for offense. Also, probably it's interesting. I don't know. I apparently they call overall less. I think they call overall less, but they trigger more pass interferences, which is not good. It's
not good for us.
I'm trying to remember the stats, but yeah, not good for us.
If it's more pass interference, that could be a problem in this game. Just straight up, like I think that's a weakness of us.
Yeah, I seem to remember reading that they're a little bit more strict on PI. Yeah,
but
overall,
like that.
Trend low. Trend low.
Yeah, I mean, officiating is always going to wash out. People can dive deep into all of that stuff. Like,
yeah, ultimately, just play disciplined. Just play disciplined.
This ain't the NBA where the Lakers get like 20 more free throws than everyone does every year. Like this is not like Alabama getting Los Angeles Lakers treatment.
No,
So
not at all.
it should even out. And some games it's going to be called more one way than the other, but that's just the law of averages.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about your discipline and how you play to that style of game, and what you I don't want to say what you can get away with, but if there's something they're clearly keying in on, staying away from it and adjusting.
Yeah. How do you think the vibes are going to be in Norman, especially with it being a Friday night game and tailgating and all of that?
It's so just from our tailgate vibes, I mean, we're getting out there relatively early, and the response from people who are going to the game seems to reciprocate like just the normal flow for the most part. The atmosphere around campus is going to be unreal. You have College Game Day, you have SEC Nation at the same time, both on campus. I know the SEC network is going to be running like literally from SEC morning all the way through. So like that atmosphere or aspect is going to be massive, and just the vibe around town. I mean, you feel it. It's so unique and so interesting because it feels almost like the feeling of the hype and the size of Texas, but it's at home. Like I drove by a billboard today that just said "Beat Bama" on it, and we're out here on Tuesday, and it feels like just the entire city, the entire area is just behind OU right now, locked in. Like the vibe is there. Like this is going to be an unbelievable environment. This is going to be a massive environment. It's also going to be a relatively interesting and weird one, in terms of like the production. So if you've ever been to a like an NCAA regional in like Norman or wherever, the typical stadium ops can't do the exact same things that they do on the video board. That's kind of the case with the college football playoff. So like Alabama's going to get their intro video shown, and like they'll do like some more neutrally stuff than normal, from what I understand.
Weird.
It's gonna be weird. But it's going to be cool, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, because you're a college football junkie and you're going to love that. There's going to be some fans in the stands like, what the hell? What is going on right now?
It's a great reason to boo, Jamison. It's a great reason to boo. Yeah. In wrestling, they still do the intro for the heels, even though nobody likes them.
I didn't know you were a big wrestling guy. What a reference.
I'm not. I just know how this works, and I mean, shoot, I will go as far as say that they should do that all the time, because it's a really good opportunity to focus everyone in on booing this team. You're not like, we're showing the OU intro and I want to cheer for that, but also there's Alabama and I want to boo them, and I like that they have their own concentrated moment to just get the crap booed out of them. That's kind of fun.
And I think triggering anger and hate sometimes is a little bit stronger, than cheering for your own team in some situations. So I think pregame, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah. I will say, for the tailgating aspect, I initially was really bummed out because I was like, oh, we have no football on. But I forgot we have like the Gasparilla Bowl.
You are so wrong, Bobby. Come on.
We have the Gasparilla Bowl, and we have one other bowl. I know it's like Memphis and some random other team, and it's Kennesaw State and Western Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah. That's your 11 a.m. and your 2:30 is Memphis NC State. So
buddy, we're good. We're set.
You are going to be watching some Gasparilla Bowl in the heat of your tailgate.
Oh yeah. No, if you don't have any interest in those games, just I don't know, send some Bitcoin to a sketchy website and place a couple wagers or something on it and just call it good. I'm not endorsing that. That is a joke. Is
that financial advice?
No, it's not. It is very much not financial advice, but it would make the game more fun. But overall, I would say, yeah, the atmosphere is going to be through the roof. I don't think the Friday's going to really hamper too much. The holiday season, people will get time off.
Final exams.
Sort of stuff. Well, those got moved. So either got moved to sometime earlier in the week, but
there's some national merits and some people that care none about Oklahoma football are like, what the heck? I am so mad. This damn football team.
The biz is closed. I know all my classes are over, but I'm still mad that the biz is closed.
Honestly, yeah. Because I think that, I don't know how real this was, and I saw this whenever they first released it. Like, are they moving some of the finals to like Saturday, which would be unbelievable. There's no way that they're doing that.
No, they did not do that. They did not do that. They just moved them at a different time of the week, and they sorted things out.
And earlier, that is a W, people. Like, do you think back to college whenever you had all your finals scheduled in your class and you're like, damn it, I've got Friday finals. I have to be here the latest. While everyone is like, I finish on Wednesday and I'm going out and having fun. Imagine, I don't have a Friday final anymore. My last final is on Thursday. I can go out, have fun, and then I have a full day of Friday to treat it like a Saturday as a student.
Yeah, just one last go. Like, especially if you're graduating the next day. Like, think about how cool that would be. Like, be like, we get one last football game at home, and then we graduate the next day.
That is
that's
honestly badass.
That's pretty
I'm
sick.
actually really jealous of that.
Yeah, that's actually really sick for those winter 25 grads. So that's pretty cool.
Shout out those winter 25 grads.
They just had to, deal with COVID to start to start their run, but it all worked out in the end. We got you a playoff, COVID and bad OU football, but we got you a playoff game at the very end, folks. You're fine. You made it out.
Yeah, that's gonna honestly be really fun. At first, I was thinking, I was like, oh, it's a Friday, it's gonna be weird. People like work schedules, everything. I was like, but the world revolves around OU football, and sooner fans are gonna find a way. And
yeah,
it's still,
Norman Public
I
School
think
shut
be
down.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
like Norman Public School's out for the day. Like it's a snow day essentially. It's gonna be cool. So very excited about it. It's gonna be cool seeing the little playoff logo painted on the field. It's gonna be a really special night. I know OU, like the OU fans are gonna bring it. Gotta hope the Sooners bring their part, and if they do, it's going to be a night to remember forever.
Weatherman Bobby. The weather is like still pretty mild there too. I mean, I think it's gonna get down a little bit chilly at that night, but there's like a warm front. How do you call them? Warm fronts? So what's the opposite of a cold front? Whatever it is, like coming through Saturday.
Warm front.
Yeah. I don't know. Help me.
You're overthinking. You literally said it. It's not very hard to think. Yeah, I mean, Saturday is like a high of 75. It's gonna be crazy.
So I mean, like, it's a good time to be alive in Oklahoma.
It's going to feel like 50 up there. It's going to be great. Like when OU was essentially in after LSU, we were planning on it being, like fur coat weather. We filled up like 6 deals of propane to fuel our little tailgate heaters. So not going to be that. Very thankful for that. So should be just an excellent night in Norman. So very, very, very excited.
Yeah. I think that since now this is postseason football, Bobby, and we still have our bowl pick'em pod and everything, I still think that we should shift things and we should talk about predictions for this game because we don't have the weekend spread anymore.
I agree.
I think
weekend
rounding
spread
out as a whole. What's the line on this one, Bobby? Is it shifted since I saw it last? I think last I saw it was like 2.5.
Last time I saw it was Alabama 1.5, but I haven't really checked up
down
recently.
Yeah, let's see. 1.5 right now still. So it's even. I see some books are even at 1. So pretty big toss up, but still Oklahoma considered the underdog. And I'm not being a homer here. I truly think that this is a game that Oklahoma can win. We're a home team in a playoff. With a passionate fan base and a desperate coaching staff that will continue to show out and really put in some good schemes. I think Alabama, has a lot of pieces that can go out and put Oklahoma in some uncomfortable situations. You talk about their passing game. It's like, if you say this defense where they haven't done as well is in the secondary, but ever since Eli Boone has started to get healthy and you've really seen Cortland Guillory grow as a cornerback, I think that we've gotten better throughout this year, and I think that where we are right now, even where we play in Alabama, I think we're improved as a secondary, and how much we've grown. So I think that you will see it again. We will turn over Alabama 1 or 2 more times in this game and get ourselves in good positions to succeed. And I think that with Ty Simpson being hobbled with this slip disc, I think that we could really go out there and really shut down this Alabama offense, just like Georgia's defense did as well. So I think low scoring game, but I think give me Oklahoma here. Give me 27, Alabama 20.
Wow. Okay, I like it. Look, styles make fights, and I understand that a lot of this, a lot of the dialogue is, well, if Alabama just didn't turn the ball over 3 times, they win that game. There's a part of me that kind of thinks that you saw Alabama's best punch outside of those turnovers. I think that they look a lot better, between the lines, outside of those turnovers on defense. And I think the atmosphere is obviously primed for a really, really tough day on offense. I think the addition of our Mason Thomas is massive. And this team just finds ways to freaking win, man. And I think you have a lot of elements going your way. I think they still feel disrespected. I think they feel that a lot of people think they weren't supposed to win that game in Tuscaloosa. So you still have a chip on your shoulder. I think it's going to be a dogfight. But ultimately, I think OU knows what they are. I think they know how to win with their limited offense. And I think they find a way. I think they find a way to win. Tate Sandell kicks the game-winning field goal. We're going to call it, let's go, Oklahoma 23, Alabama 18. Well, wait, no, that's all right. 19. Well, no, 20. I'm bad at math.
Okay. I'm like, he's going to kick the game-winning field goal, and then somehow we're going to get a safety to end on their last play as they're throwing the ball around.
If we Auburn them. Yeah, just Auburn them.
But still a very, very weird score scenario. So 23-20. I think that's totally fair.
Which I know, going out on a limb here, just 1 point less than the last game, but.
Yeah, but the over-under is 40.5, so both of us thinking that we're going to go over. And that maybe is just hope for Ben Arbuckle and his offense to actually go out and show out some things and an improved run game for us. But at the same time, like, I think we're going to get turnovers again, and I think that there could be plenty of opportunity to get short fields and get easy scoring opportunities.
Yeah, and I just see it. Home teams have not lost in the college football playoff expanded, ever, because they've never, it's only been 2 years. So the home field advantage, very real thing. The stakes, very real, and Oklahoma has a chance to punch their ticket to the Rose Bowl for a matchup with Indiana. So going to be a super cool night. Going to be a super interesting night. We've never seen a literal win or go home game at Owen Field ever. It's going to be weird that it's like either you win and you go to the Rose Bowl, or you lose and everything's just done and your season ends in Norman.
I kind of like that, though.
I think it's fun. That's kind of how sports are supposed to be in some ways. What other sport, sort of gives as many teams the opportunity to lose their last real game and then go to another last game that means nothing, with the bowl system. So it's cool to have that. I think it's going to be a really cool evening in Norman.
Yeah.
I just can't wait.
I am jealous of you. It's going to be a great time. And if you have the means to get there, because I don't know how and truly with playoff reformation, who knows, what playoffs are going to look like, or if even Oklahoma is going to get to a point where they're hosting in the future. So utilize this as a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah,
no, it's special. It's special. And, there's nothing like your first time, Jamison, so this is our first time, baby. So look, anyone who listens to Locked On Thunder or, Dream Team, there you go. Shout out to Ryland Styles. But anyways, yeah. So Jameson, any final thoughts? We all good here?
No, it's going to be a great time. It's honestly, once again, it just feels so weird right now. Like the lead up to this, like, I know it's there on Friday, but it's sometimes like whenever the games are on Saturday, it's like, oh, I get Friday, I finish my work day, and then like I have my Friday night, and then I get excited for the Saturday game. It's like I'm going to get off work, and I'm going to be going home to prepare myself for a game, which is just going to be so fun. It's going to be so different.
Yeah, and it's not like even the Thunder for the playoffs and everything. Your body is used to like waking up and I have to go through a full day and all of this, and
yeah.
But with college football, it's like a day. It's like whole deal. So it is weird to be like, yeah, I got to work and then freak out about OU football. So it's a very rare situation. Well, Jameson, hopefully we'll be previewing the Rose Bowl next time we speak. But until then, thank y'all so much for watching this. Well, we'll have the Bowl Pick podcast tomorrow with Bowden Blake. But the next time we talk about the Sooners exclusively, hopefully it's about the Rose Bowl. So until then, thank y'all so much for watching and listening to us all season long. We'll see you next time. Boomer Sooner, everybody.